Students, I'm going to record a quick book review just to show you, maybe to alleviate some of your stress, that really all I'm looking for is a casual summary and review of why you chose this book, what it's about, what it meant to you, techniques, form, genre, and maybe a quick quote from the book, whether or not you enjoyed it and why. If you didn't enjoy it, why. Um, and a little bit of formal analysis. But really, I don't want these to be high pressure or very long, just a sort of summary or condensed version of your written book reviews. So, just to give you an example, I'd like to tell you about this book that I really love, We the Animals by Justin Torres, which was turned into a film in 2018. The book came out in 2011. I first encountered Justin Torres at the Tin House Writers Workshop last July when they were doing a live recording of the podcast Food for Thought. And that's food and then the number 4 and then THOT. It's a pretty goofy, wonderful podcast that is a interview style conversation between 4 gay men, and they're all writers. One of them is a scientist who also writes, and the rest are poets and fiction writers and performers. So Justin Torres is one of the 4. They have guests come on as well. So they did this live recording of an interview, and it was riveting and hilarious and wonderful. So then I went and read the writings of each of the participating authors. So Justin was one of those authors. He also writes poems. But this particular book is a novel, and it's quite short. It's semi-autobiographical in that it's published as fiction and a novel, but in interviews and descriptions of the book after the fact, he has made it apparent that it is also after events, real events in his life. And the main character of the book is sort of Justin as a child. It's a really heart-wrenching story, beautiful, about 3 young siblings, 3 brothers who grow up in upstate New York. And their house is a troubling home. They don't have very much money. I think it would be safe to say that they're impoverished, and their parents are fighting all the time. They love their parents, and it's a really creative, interesting, affectionate household. But then once their parents start to fight in such a way that is dangerous to the upbringing of the children, the mother asks the father to leave in a not so kind way. They're not kind to each other. And so then she has to raise these boys by herself. And I just wanted to give you a little quote from the very beginning. This is the first page to give you a taste of the style. And it's written in first person, but sort of the collective first person. So from the perspective of the youngest of the siblings. And so he often talks about we brothers, which I think is a little unusual, but I really loved. So you can tell from the title, We the Animals. I love that he sort of pools together the perspectives of all the brothers. And then in certain passages, it's just his voice. But here's the first paragraph. We wanted more. We knocked the butt ends of our forks against the table, tapped our spoons against our empty bowls. We were hungry. We wanted more volume, more riots. We turned up the knob on the TV until our ears ached with the shouts of angry men. We wanted more music on the radio. We wanted beats. We wanted rock. We wanted muscles on our skinny arms. We had bird bones, hollow and light, and we wanted more density, more weight. We were 6 snatching hands, 6 stomping feet. We were brothers, boys, 3 little kings locked in a feud for more. When it was cold, we fought over blankets until the cloth tore down the middle. When it was really cold, when our breath came out in frosty clouds, Manny crawled into bed with Joel and me. Body heat, he said. Body heat, we agreed. We wanted more blood, more warmth. When we fought with boots and garage tools. So that's just the first page. As you can tell, he has a very poetic, lyrical sense of repetition. He repeats the we as a sort of anaphora. We this, we that, we do this, we struggle, we hug, we read, we run. And I think in that way, it's almost like a Greek chorus because of the three brothers. And in the Greek chorus trope, it's sort of three characters singing the narrative of a plot of a play or a myth or a legend. So it takes on that tone of sort of, looking back on the nostalgic with both a bittersweet nostalgia of their childhood. And the main character also, as he's coming into his own, he also comes out in a really rocky manner. His father's Puerto Rican and his mother's white, and they're both quite shocked and resistant to his coming out as gay. And he's also quite young when he comes out, and so he does so sort of secretly, accidentally, and then more insistently, and he sort of breaks away from this trio of brothers. Not in rejection of them, but just to protect himself. And so in that way, it's, I think, sort of a groundbreaking book in the sense that it's highlighting the Latino homosexual experience in also a lyrical short memoir. So it's sort of an unusual form because it's almost a novella. It's nearly poetry, but it's like autofiction memoir, and certainly queer, and so tender and violent. It's a really amazing book. I recommend the book. I also recommend the film. I felt quite drawn to this immediately, not only because Justin himself has a really interesting voice on the podcast as a writer in person. He's also really kind and intelligent. And I found out after I read the book, I didn't read the back of the book before. I just dove right in, and I realized that he also is a graduate of where I went to get my MFA in Iowa, so I felt more of a kinship to the book as well. So, to the author. So I recommend that book, and also this is just a little example of the possible format for your book reviews. They can be shorter, they can be longer, they can be more in-depth or less. Really, all I want you to do is to interact with your peers in this way, either by uploading a video or as a quick presentation. I think it'll be so much more accessible than the written format, which I'll be reading your written formats as well and giving you feedback. But I think for your peers, this will be a more interesting way to share these books. So thank you for your attention, and I hope that this maybe alleviates some of your stress fears about this book review.